I remember the road that carried us to the caverns of Shun. It began in the deep woods east of the rusted crown, where the trees knit together so tightly the moon can barely breathe through the branches. It was there that Gora stopped dead, every muscle tight. Move, he hissed. 8 of them, coming fast. Then we heard them, ergos, twisted, mutated humanoids snapping through the undergrowth, their breaths wet and eager. We didn't try to stand our ground, we ran. The forest blurred around us. Roots clawed at our boots. Branches raked our faces as the ergos shrieked behind us. At one point, we burst through a thicket and nearly charged straight into a black bear's den. The beast lying there, huge and half asleep, one eye rolling open as we skidded past. By some miracle, we slipped wide of it, the ergo shrieking and crashing away in another direction. More interested in our blood than the bears. We didn't get that lucky twice. Later, we came upon a sleeping herd of bison, massive shapes resting in a moonlit clearing. We tried to ghost past them. Each step a prayer. Then Marika's boot caught a dry branch. The branch snapped. The bison exploded into motion. A stampede thundered through the clearing, the ground shaking under us. We dove aside as hooves hammered past, air filled with dust and panic. In the chaos, one ergo leapt from the shadows and caught up with Ferox, claws reaching for her throat. She twisted, longsword flashing, and cut it across the chest. As it staggered, she drove her boot into its center, kicking it away and sending it sprawling prone and howling into the dark. We didn't stop running until the forest lost their screams. It took 3 hard days to cross the wild. We lost our tents in the chase, torn loose or abandoned. Sleep came in snatches. The food went thin, but on the 3rd dawn, the trees finally broke, giving way to cracked earth and burned sky. That's when we saw it. The caverns of Shun. A colossal stone skull jutted from the desert, half buried in the sand. Its fanged mouth yawned, opening into darkness. Wind hissed through its teeth like a drawn-out death rattle. We barely had time to spit a curse before 4 cultists erupted from the shadows of the skull's jaws. Blades raised, shrieking praise to Shun. Steel met steel. One cultist drove a dagger into Gorath's ribs, dropping him to one knee. Marika answered with a roar, her axe cutting through bone and cloth. Ferox, still unspent of magic, fought with her long sword only, carving and parrying, her face pale with fury rather than fear. When the last cultist fell bleeding in the sand, Gorath was alive, but barely. Ferox bound him as best she could, hands steady, despite the blood. We rested what we could beneath the shadows of the skull. The wind howled through hollow stone. No one truly slept. Then came the morning. The sun was only a thin red line on the horizon when Ferox knelt beside the corpse of the cultist who had stabbed Gorath. Her spellbook lay open in the sand. Pages fluttering in the dry wind. We won't survive what's inside there alone, she murmured, more to herself than to us. We need an extra blade, even if it's a dead one. Marika stepped forward, jaw tight. You're talking about turning him into an undead servant, she asked, nodding at the corpse. That thing followed Shun. You'd bind that filth to us. Ferox didn't look up. Her young dwarf face was hard in the morning light, eyes rimmed with exhaustion and something darker. I'm talking about making sure Gorath doesn't die when the next wave comes, she said. We're 3 and barely that. Inside those tunnels could be dozens. Without help, we don't walk back out. Gorath pushed himself to his feet with a wince. One hand pressed to his bandaged side. Child, he said quietly. The word more weary than cruel. Dark magic cuts both ways. You start raising body for us, and sooner or later someone will be raising ours. Marika moved to his side, nodding. We warned you back in town, she added. The path you're on is dangerous, for you and for all of us. Ferox finally looked up, eyes like cold iron. I know exactly how dangerous it is, she said. That's why I'm willing to use it. I won't let us die out here just to keep our hands clean. There was a long silence. The wind whistled through the skull's stone teeth. Sand hissed softly around our boots. At last, Marika and Gora stepped back, exchanging a grim look, choosing distance over approval. They turned their backs to the corpse and to Ferrick's working, watching the desert instead. Do what you must, Gora said. And that was how we stood at the entrance of the caverns of Shun. One of us wounded, one of us weary, and one of us willing to bargain with death itself before we ever took the first step into the dark. And that's where we're going to begin. We're going to continue our playthrough of Tales of Argosa, and today we're going to be checking out the dungeon generation rules. Last time they just killed a band of cultists that attacked them outside. Gorath took 4 points of damage, which means his health is now down to 9. They rested overnight, and you heal 1 hit point overnight. So he is going to have 10 HP for Gorath. They're going to tie a rope to one of the corpses of the cultists and drag that behind them, just in case Ferrix gets the urge to use her Undead Servant spell. Now, the downside of her magic for using Undead Servant is it always causes a dark and dangerous magic event, and that can be really bad. So depending on the odds, she needs a corpse to be able to raise it. And we don't want to do that yet, because if something bad happens right outside of the caverns, that won't be a good thing for us. All right. So with that, we're going to step in. Now, a couple videos ago, we created the content of the dungeon. We rolled up that it was a cavern. We rolled the size, but we're actually going to use the playing the adventure dungeon rules. So it has rooms and corridors, room themes, and room contents. So we'll be rolling on those tables, and then we'll just map out the dungeon as we search for the leader of the cultist within this dark cavern. The Pale Mouth is who we're trying to take out. All right, so let's go ahead and begin. So as we check out the rules, there's doors. So we're not necessarily going to do any doors, but for the main rooms are always going to have 1d4 exits. You roll a d20 to generate what's in the dungeon based on the roll. So we got rooms and corridors. Rooms have 1d4 exits. If you have a strings or corridors or rooms, or if a result is impossible, caverns generally won't have doors, but may have rubble, sinkholes, etc. Wall paths or dead ends. Place secret door or hatch in the most appropriate location. To leave the dungeon, exit via the entrance or make a luck save at the next stairs or hatch. And then when we enter a room, we roll a 1d20 for a theme and interpret consistent with the dungeon site. And then we roll a 1d20 for the room's contents. And then based on that, we'll check out these theme items. If we get a complication, we'll use the complication table. And if we get an encounter, we'll do the encounters. And that's how you generate the dungeon. If we roll a 19 or 20, we'll get the leader. So that's what we're trying to get, a 19 or 20. So he could be anywhere within the dungeon. And we'll start, and we will just use piece of paper. Do I want to use this one? Yeah, we'll just use this side. And we'll just go in here. We'll say this is the cave entrance. We're going to roll a d20 for the first room. And within the caverns, we're not really going to have doors. The first room will have at least 2 exits. And let's see what we get. I'm going to roll a d20. No shapes or anything, so we can just make up what that's going to be. So that's a 6. A 6 is a medium room. So in terms of the cavern, we'll have the entrance to the cavern will be down here. And then it just opens up into a medium room. And then we roll a d4 to see how many exits. So there's 3 exits. So we'll say there's tunnels that go this way. And Now we're going to roll a d20 for the theme of the first room. So what have these cultists been using the caverns for? 3, food and drink. So if there's food and drink at the main entrance, we're rolling on the theme table. And then the theme items, we're going to go to this food and drink content and we'll roll another d20 and we'll see what's in here. So 16. Let's see, 1 through 8 is food, 9, 10 spice, 11, 13 water, 14 through 17 is alcohol. So there's alcohol stores in this first room. And then we'll go ahead and roll for the room contents. And we'll see if there's any other thing in here. Oh, actually the theme items are on here. So after that, we'll see if there's what the theme items are. If there were actually theme items in here. So 8 is empty, but with a complication. All right, so this would have, there's no alcohol in here. Maybe there's empty casks. And then we're going to roll a d20 on the complications table. So as soon as we enter, 15, vermin are present in large number. Rats, bats, cockroaches, snakes, mosquitoes, possible diseases or parasites. All right, so we step into the first room. I don't think that's anything that we need to have an encounter. There's vermin, disease. So it's basically nasty in this first entrance to the cavern. Probably to shun away anybody that comes in. And then we have 3 pathways. And we know that this cultist, at least we heard a rumor that he's probably summoning some creatures. So one of the things that a magic user can do is they have an ability to detect magic. So we are going to go ahead and see if Ferox is going to use that ability. So let's take a look at magic user. And we'll see what that is. So she's got sense magic. She can make an intelligence arcane lore check to sense magic within line of sight up to close range. If successful, you sense whether magic is present or absent and its location. On a great success, you also confirm in general nature protection. Illusions can be detected in this way. On a failure, you cannot use the ability again until you sleep for 6 hours. So she's going to stare down these caverns. And we're going to say she's just trying to reach out and get a sense of what direction might have some magical bearing. So her intelligence is 15. She has arcane lore, so on a 16 or less, we'll say a 2. That is a great success. All right, so let's see what tunnel does she detect magic. So we're going to say the leader is going to be in that direction we're going. And on a great success, maybe we'll get advantage when trying to search for the leader. So we'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That'll be the tunnel that she detects the magic from. 5. So to the right. So our party is going to head to the right. So northeast as they go down the tunnels. And I should have kept track of what page the dungeon tables are on. Let's see. And we're going to try to move stealthily down these tunnels. So maybe we'll make a group stealth check and see. All right, the dungeon generator is on page 220 and 221. So to pass a group check, more than half the group has to succeed. And I think the skill for stealth is dexterity. I think that's around page 53. Let me see here. Stealth, it is dex, often opposed by perception. So we're going to move quietly. I don't think we're going to roll unless, since it's opposed by perception, if there's a creature in the next room, we'll see if we are passing that test. So let's go ahead and head down the next room. So we're going to roll that d20 again for rooms and corridors. Let's see what we get this time. All right, a 7 is another medium room. And then we'll see, this opens up into another medium room. Let's see how many exits it has. It's got 4 exits, so probably one this way, and then a corridor over here. We'll do a corridor here, and then we'll make a corridor over here. So it's got 4 exits. Let's see what the room theme is going to be. 20, the room theme is working. So tools, raw materials, tables, and storage. And then we are going to roll on the room contents. Now to get the leader, this is where I was trying to decide, do we roll with advantage because of the detect magic? Let's not do that yet. Let's just see what we get first. A 1 is empty. Any gears broken, spoiled, burnt, crumbling, and ransacked. So there are tools in here. Let's see what would have been in here. We're going to roll on the theme item tables. 15. So tables and storage. So this room has a lot of broken tables and storage. And then there's 4 exits. We can have Ferrex try to detect magic again. Let's go ahead and use our Scarlet Heroes Oracle. Let's see if the magic is strong in this room. So what's the odds that the magic is strong? So what's the odds? The odds that the magic is strong is very unlikely. So it was a weak magic that she detected. Now it's very unlikely. So we're going to roll a d20 and see. It's very unlikely, but it's possible. We got a 12. A 12 is no. So the magic is not very strong in this room, which means she needs to continue to try to detect it. Now, I don't think she can do it more than once. I think technically she has to do it once and it just leads her in this direction. And then now she's going to be... Now she's going to kind of just be following her instinct. Magic user, sense magic once per point of intelligence modifier per adventure. All right, so once per point per adventure. So our intelligence is +2. We could do it again to try to get a bead on where the leader might be. And then we wouldn't be able to do it anymore after that. So that means I probably should have rolled with advantage. So we'll go one more room since she can only do it twice. We'll say her detect magic is still going on. Let's see what direction she is getting a sense from. We'll roll a d8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this way. So detect magic is, it wants us to go down that tunnel. So we're going to head down that tunnel. And then as we're going to go stealthily, our marching order, Gorath is in the front, followed by Ferrex in the body they're dragging. Actually, Ferrex will be in the middle, and then Marika is in the rear, and she's dragging the body in case we need to raise the dead. Now, when we go into this room, I'm going to roll with advantage to see if we find the leader as we're creeping through. So far, it's been uneventful. At most, it can be 30 rooms. We're going to go ahead and roll a d20, rooms and corridors. 8, it's a large room. And then each room has 1d4 exits. Let's see how many this one has. I should have included the one. It has 1 exit. So that means this room is going to be a dead end. So it's going to be a large room. And it's a dead end because it only has 1 exit. So maybe something else in here is causing the magic. So we'll roll for the room theme. A 20 on it's another working room theme. So there's tools and different things like that in here. Tools, raw materials, table storage, and or waste. But we'll roll for room contents. We're going to roll twice and see if we can find the leader. First one is 15. Second one is 13. So 15 is a random encounter. 13 is a concealed or secret door. And roll again. All right, I think since we're going to use our detect magic for this, the secret door is probably what she's detecting. So let's go ahead and say that there's a secret door there. I think I like that one. So there's a secret door. She picks up a faint magical glow from the secret door. So we enter this room. Let's see what's in this working room. 8. 8 is raw materials. So there's probably some mining nodes or things like that. Maybe there's gems in here, nodes. Let's see if there's any type of money or gems, silver, gold, anything of value. So is there anything value? We'll roll for the odds first. 6 means it's almost certain. 3. So 1, 2, 3. So it's unknown. So basically a 50-50 chance. Are there valuables in here? A 19 is a yes. So there are valuables in here. That's going to be our first question. Tales of Argosa has loot tables. And I think since we're in the mines, we're probably going to do the loot B table. So let's try to find where that loot table was. Players. Valuables. So carry loot A, carry loot B. Lesser gems, potions, and scrolls. I think valuables A makes most sense. So there's different treasures in the game. They've got carry loot A, nothing of significance. B, mostly silver coins. Valuables A and B, which are lesser art objects, lesser gems, potions, scrolls, minor charms, trinkets and curios, rare treasures, minor magical items, major magical items. But I think valuables A is a good table for us to roll on. So we'll roll on valuables A. It's a D100 roll. What in this working? Oh my gosh, that's a 100. Roll 3D20 on the valuables B table. So I guess we did something similar to that in the last session. We'll add these up. 13 plus 7, that's 20, plus 16, that's 36. 36 on valuable B. A 2-foot mahogany chest, edged with gold and studded with amber gems. The chest lock is an ornately difficult to pick. Disadvantage with a -3 penalty. 650 silver pieces, or a silver necklace with a gold pendant in the shape of a dancing flame. Okay, so it can be a silver necklace with a gold pendant in the shape of a dancing flame, or I guess it can be the chest. So let's take the silver necklace. Well, actually, let's bet that 1, 2, 3 is the chest, and we can't get into it. Maybe we'll come back for it later. 4, 5, 6 is the silver necklace. It's the silver necklace. All right, so Ferris notices the silver necklace with a gold pendant in the shape of a dancing flame. It's worth 660 silver, but they don't really know that right now. So that is a great find. So lying around in the floor of this dust-covered room, silver pendant, 660. That's enough to cover the cost of this. Okay, we'll take that, and then we're going to go through the secret door and roll again on the chart. All right, so again, we're going back. We're just doing our simple rooms and corridors roll with the D20. We open up that door, 12. a straight corridor. And a straight corridor will just take us down to another room. We'll roll it one more time. So this goes through here. Secret door, we'll put an S here. We'll take the secret door down this corridor till we get to 6. A medium room with how many exits? 4 exits, so including the entrance. Medium room. And then we'll see what's in the medium room. The theme, 2, artistic and ornate. And then we'll do the room contents. 7, it's empty but with a complication. So this is an ornate room. 3, a trap. There is a trap nearby. All right, so let's see. This game also has trap generation. So simple traps or complex traps. Simple traps. We'll start with that. Let's see. Simple versus complex. For the purposes, simple traps are easily ad-libbed and quickly resolved. They are straightforward hazards such as tripwires that fire darts or a false door that opens a pit. Simple traps can appear any place that makes sense, and their purpose is to deter or prevent passage or access. Complex traps, on the other hand, are fully fledged encounters in their own right. They require significant GM planning ahead of time in order to fit their location and allow for meaningful interaction. Complex traps are multi-part affairs, often with telegraph warnings or clues and serious consequences. Okay, so we're going to go with a simple trap. And it's got simple trap rules here. So 1, the danger level. So these cultists of soon have set up a trap in here. So we're going to roll a d20 to see what the danger level, oh, it's 2d6, to see what the danger level of the trap is going to be. A 6, so it's a minor trap. Then we're going to roll for triggers and counters. Portable container traps activate if open, moved, or otherwise interacted with, as the referee determines. Roll 2d6 for spaces, door rooms, hallways, etc., or large objects, statues, bookshelf builds. If a particular trigger doesn't make sense for the situation, roll again. All right, so the trigger and then the counter. So 2d6. 6, a pressure plate. And to counter it, we can jam, disassemble, or put a weighted bag on it. So there's a pressure plate in here. Then to determine its attack mode, we're going to roll 1d8 for portable containers or 1d20 for spaces and large objects. So this is it is a space. So we're going to roll a d20 to see its attack type. 17 is an alarm. That could be bad. Okay, so then we're going to go look at alarm. Some traps will include a method to safely bypass the hazard to allow passage. By friendlies, finding the bypass generally requires searching in a specific location and or a perception detection check, often modified. Finding the information from a captured enemy also works. All right, so alarm, we've got minor, and that's the kind of trap that we rolled. We rolled a minor trap. Perception detect check to notice the trigger. If activated, the alarm sounds in this room. Consult the bones to see if a sentry or random monster comes to investigate. All right. So let's have our heroes make a perception check to see if they notice the alarm, if they notice the trap. So there's a pressure plate that's going to trigger an alarm. They're walking through the room. So let's see, what would be a good way to do this? Did I have them each roll perceptions to see if they notice? And then roll perception again, so they have to pass twice? Or is just once enough? It's a pressure plate. And Gorath is in the front of the pack. He's got to do perception. He has a perception of 10. Does he have detection? He does not have detection. So a 10 or less. Let's see if Gorath notices. 11. He does not notice. And he's in the front. So I think it's fair to say that he is going to trigger the alarm. So the alarm is going to go off. And then we'll have to see some bones clatter to the ground, making a loud noise that echoes through the chamber. And then we're going to see, does a creature come because of that? And we know that these guys have skinless terrors that have to be summoned. So does the trap summon a skinless terror? We're going to use our likely odds and see. 3 is unknown, so we're going to roll a d20. And we're going to see 1 through 5, it's no. 6 through 10 is no, but 11 through 15 is yes, but. And 16 through 20, it's a yes. 1, no. So no skinless terror comes. We'll do one more check. Do any cultist spirit? This is for the odds. 6 is almost certain a cultist hears it. 7, that is a yes. So a cultist is going to hear the bones. And would the cultist come alone? We don't know how many are in here. For our last oracle check, we'll see if he comes alone. Otherwise, well, we'll probably say 2 might come. I feel like 2 sentries is good. Does he come alone? Let's see, what's the odds of that? The likelihood is going to be very likely that he comes alone. And 8 for very likely is yes. All right, so 1 cultist is going to come alone. So we are stealth. We're going to be in the caverns. We're hiding. First, he's going to be like hiding against the wall, followed by her, and the cultist is going to come. Yeah, we'll just do. I don't know. We'll have this guy. He'll be over here somewhere. There's range bands. And then we're going to find out, does he comes in through one of the other entrances. As he's roaming in. Does he notice us? So we have to do a stealth versus his perception. So let's check out the cultists. See, what page are those guys on again? Cultists. So his perception is 10. So let's start with Gorath because Gorath's in the front. And I think if he doesn't see Gorath, we'll have Gorath get a surprise round. So he starts heading over to the trap. Gorath stealth. We're going to be rolling under. And for stealth, he's going to be using his dexterity. He has a 16 plus stealth, so he needs a 17 or less. It's an opposed check. You got a 3. That is a great success. So 17 minus 3, that's a difference of 14. I don't think no matter what the cultist rolls, for his perception of 10, that's a 2. He also got a great success. But Gorath succeeded with the highest difficulty. He got the most levels of success. So he will stay hidden. And he will get a surprise attack. and then we'll roll for initiative. So he's hiding in the bushes. It's range band, so it's far, close, near. So he's going to charge. Gorath is going to charge the unsuspecting cultist. He's going to pull the blade out, pivot the blade towards him, rear back, and slice. Now, as part of combat, he's going to be trying to beat the cultist armor class of 11. He doesn't have any, let's see, does he have a bonus? He got +1 to hit with his short sword. He needs to beat an 11. And when you charge, if you're outside of close range, so we'll say as soon as he goes like in between far and close, that's when he charge. You get a +2 to attack. Now, since he charged, anybody else in the round that tries to hit him will also get a +2. Let's see what Gorath gets. He needs to beat an 11. 11 + 2, 13. He beats it. So he hits him with his short sword. His short sword is going to do 1d6 damage. So we'll get the d6 plus, since he's a rogue, his class ability for rogue, when he charges, he is going to get to do his backstab, I believe. Yep. So when he's surprised, he actually got a +4 attack bonus, and he inflicts an additional 1d8 damage. All right, so he's going to get a d8 and a d6. So he's going to roll those. Before we do that, let's see how much life this cultist has. He has 1 hit die, so he gets a d8 worth of life. So he's going to have 5 hit points. And Gorath slices into him. He does 7 damage and quietly takes out the cultist. Shh. Sleep. Go to sleep. Right. So we've managed to eliminate another one. Another corpse for Ferox. If she needs it. Okay. They're going to keep pressing on. Now we have 3 different tunnels we can go down. And I think we're going to have Ferox use her detect magic for that second time to figure out which direction to go. I believe she needs like a 17 or less. This is the last time she can use it. And she got a 19, which is a failure. I think she has to get a 20 for a terrible failure. So she doesn't know. We're just going to have to go by feel. So I guess because of space, let's head this way because there's the most room this way. So we'll head to the west and we'll roll that room up. And that should be back here. Let's see. And we'll keep going through this dungeon, trying to find the Pale Mouth. There's also madness in this game. You can go crazy. There's quite a bit of monsters. We haven't run into any of the skinless horrors yet. I need to like write down the dungeon page. Page 220. That's the page that the dungeon is on. Let me just write up here, page 220. All right, let's see. The next room is going to be a 3. It's a small room. And then how many exits does this small room have? Just 1. So that means that's going to be a dead end. So this is just going to come out into here and just be dead end. The room theme is going to be 7, meeting. And then let's see what the room contents are. 7. Another empty, but with a complication. Okay, let's see what the complication is. A 1, water. So this room is flooded or a lake. So maybe this is where they get water through the cavern system. So we'll just put that this room is flooded with water. That's not super bad. We'll go back up here and head to the north. We'll do another room. 13. 13 is a corridor. Go straight. We'll just put a little icon there. If we come out to another room, 8 is another. That's another large room. Let's see how many exits. 4 exits. Probably gonna run out of room for these room exits, so I have to decide if I'm gonna just go onto another sheet of paper. Could always maybe add another sheet of paper at the top. And then we'll check on the room theme. Let's see what that could be. 11. It's secure. Whatever this large room is, it's secure. And then the room contents. 4. Empty or effectively so. Any gear is broken, burnt, crumbling, ransacked, etc. So far these caves have been pretty empty. It's rolling, dilapidated cavern. So the maximum it was going to be 30 rooms was the biggest it could be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll keep exploring. We'll check. We'll head to the east. There's a small room this way. I could roll the D4 and the die at the same time with 3 exits. So small room comes out over here, and then it'll have 2 exits, and we'll see what the theme is for that. Theme 19 is a working room again. The room contents, 1d4 theme items. All right, so working. So let's see how many theme items it had. 1. And we go to the working tables here, and it's got a tables and storage are in here. There could be some valuables to search through, but we're going to keep looking because it's pretty dangerous. We're going to keep dragging that body, looking. We're going to head down this way, and we're going to do the room and how many doors it has. 1 and 1. Another small room, and that is a dead end. And then we're going to check out what the theme is for this one. I have another D20. Theme is, it's an ornate small room. And what is the room contents? 10 theme items. So there's going to be 1d4 theme items in this ornate room. How many things are in here? 2. And we've got 1 sculptures. And there's also sculptures. So there's maybe a bunch of sculptures to tune. Sculptures are in that room. And then we're going to backtrack. And there aren't any real backtrack rules. So I think we're going to go all the way back through the secret door, come back out here so that I don't have to go to another page. We'll just say these are dead ends. These will be dead ends. Yeah, that makes more sense. And then we'll backtrack because we don't need this to be an inescapable dungeon. And then we'll head this way, and then I'll start rolling 2d20 for room contents, and I'll take the highest. And then that way, if we get a 19 or 20 liter, we will have found the pale mouth. But that's how the dungeon generation goes. So you had doors. It does have a door table. You roll the rooms and corridors. You roll the theme, the contents. And then based on what you roll, you might have these things in here or complications. We've actually been rolling really low on the contents because there's traps, there's encounters. If we roll opposition, that is the skinless, the skin tears, because that's what I rolled for the opposition. You have to roll a 16 or higher to get the opposition. Those things are really tough and bad for us, but we'll keep going. So we're backtracking. We're going to this room. Let's see what kind of room it's going to be, or if it's a corridor. 8 and a 1. That is a large room with 1 exit. And that means that that's the entrance exit only. The theme for that room is going to be working. I keep rolling 20s when I'm doing the theme instead of doing the contents. The contents is going to be 19. Ooh, that is the leader. So normally for the leader, it says consult the bones to see if the goal is with the leader. If not already found, if not a boss, the leader has 2d6 main opposition with them or nearby. All right, so it is going to be the leader. So the pale mouth is in this large room. And the theme is working. Let's see what else is working in here. 8 raw materials. So maybe there's like some crystals or something like that in this room. And that's what he's using to summon the creatures. Now it says, if not a boss, he is a boss. The leader has 2d6 main opposition. So he is going to be a boss. And we are going to give him the ability to have a skinless terror with him. And he can also cast spells. So spells have, not spells, cultists on rare occasions can have spells. 2, he can have Gabbling of the Jade Moon, Dark Slumber, Brain Burst, or Gaze of Beguilement. So I think what we'll do is, let me see, how do we want to do this? Let's, all right, let's pretend that, okay, we go into the room, like the room, back of the room is there. We walk in, we're kind of creeping into the room, right? Maybe there's some pillars or something in there. And the cultist leader, he's going to be in there preparing to cast a spell or something of that nature. He's going to be back here. Can we sneak up on him? Don't feel like we'll be able to. Well, does he notice us? Yeah, let's see. Let's ask the Oracle. So let's ask the Oracle. Does this guy notice us? So we're gonna roll for the likelihood. Remember, 6 means very likely. 1 is not as likely. Okay, so what? So it's not likely that he notices us. That's great. So now let's roll a d20 and see, is it really not likely? 13 for very unlikely is no. He does not notice us. So he's got his back turned. I think the standees are double-sided. They don't actually have a front and a back. So that means we can try to sneak up to him so he doesn't notice us. All right, so Gorath, we see the back of this cultist. Is he alone? I think that's a fair question. Is he alone? So the odds are that it's very, okay, it's very likely that he is alone. So he might be alone. 6. It's no but. No but. So in Scarlet Heroes, the but, there's a D6 table. So let me just see what the no but means. 1, a twist to the relationship between people in the situation. Don't think that that's going to apply. What would no but mean? What could the but be? So I'm thinking he's not alone, but should mean that it's kind of something that's probably favorable to us. So is there another person in here? I don't think it's a I don't think he has a skin thing. Is he alone, but he might be in the process of summoning a skin thing? Let's see. Let's see what's the likelihood. Does he have a victim or a hostage or something like that? So 5 is very likely. It's the odds are very likely that he has somebody. And a 12 is yes, he does. So maybe there is another person tied up in here that I am not prepared to have any. Let me see. Do I have a? So maybe he's in the process of trying to make a sacrifice or something, and he's got a person chained up, and he's like up here on this thing, and he's doing some dark ritual or something to the maiden that's in distress, and we just entered the room. So then the next question should be, is he about to sacrifice the person? The odds are unknown, so it's a 50-50 chance. And the answer is 7. No, but a twist in the relationship between people in the situation. Okay, so we think he's about to sacrifice that person, but it's really another cultist, and that they're doing like the initiation ceremony, or he's putting the mark on the cultist that just accepted the doctrine. I think that's what it is. So we're gonna go up and try to stop him. So we're gonna see if he can pass a stealth check to sneak up behind the pale mouth and kill him. Just outright. Stealth is 8. That is a success versus his perception. He's not looking at us. I feel like he should do that with disadvantage. Perception is 10. 11, that's a fail. 50, yep, he failed twice. So Gorath sneaks up. Marika and them stand behind, and he is going to get a surprise attack and try to stab the pale mouth in the back. He needs a 11 or higher. 18 plus 1 is 19. That is a hit. He's going to get D6 plus D8. Let's see how much HD. We'll give him 2 hit dice. So, that's 1. That's not great. 9 life. And he's going to get a D6 plus 8 damage. 5. So he stabs the cultist in the back. It doesn't kill him. He yells out, "Ah! Intruders! Intruders!" And then the other cultist that we don't know about is kind of still lying there. And then we'll roll initiative. So he is bloodied. He's wounded. And let's see. I think we'll have Gorath do his initiative check. So in this game, if you didn't watch the first video, 1 player per turn rolls initiative. If they pass the initiative, the heroes go first. If they fail the initiative, then the heroes go after the enemies. Oh, okay. Oh, you know what? I bet you this can end up being a skinless terror. Maybe that'll be what it is. That might kill us all. So Gorath's initiative is 12. See what he gets. 9. So we go first. So he is going to twist the blade. He stabbed him through once. It's going to pivot, go back into his new form, turn the blade, and then come across with a swipe. 4 is a miss. So he swings the blade at the pale mouth, who just instinctively dives back. He just dodges back a little bit. The blade just kind of passes through his cloak, rips out but does not find purchase. And then that's going to leave Marika and Ferox. And do we want... I think Marika is going to charge. And she's going to get a +2 with her battle axe. She's going to charge up the mountain. And she's going to also try to take out the cultists. And she's going to swing her battle axe at him. She gets a +2 for charging. That is a 13. +2 is 15. That's going to be a hit. Now, she could rage, but she's not going to do that. She gets the D12 damage. He's only got 5 life left. 12 damage. So she lops off the head of the pale mount. His head goes flying around, crouching on the ground. And then that's when the heroes see a eerie green glow start to come off the body of what they thought was a victim, but it's not. It actually ends up transforming into a skinless terror. A skinless humanoid beast rises up as the last of the pale mouse magic goes into the creature. All right, so let me look up the skinless terror stats. Ferox will still be able to go. Skinless terror. I think that is under aberration. So fortunately, we're able to sneak up. So skinless terrors have 3 hit dice, AC of 10. They bite 2 times. Frenzy test. These are foul, 4-foot tall humanoids with piercing claws and exposed muscle. They are blind and use a chittering echolocation to locate their victims, moving with unnatural urgency and agitation, in a constant state of extreme pain. They die in 2d6 minutes after manifesting. So 2, 7, that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14. All right, so now Ferox, she's going to see this monstrous abomination rise up, and she is going to cast Undead Servant on the corpse that they're dragging in. Meanwhile, Marika and Gorath look back at her and they're like, no, don't do it. But she's going to do it anyways. So we're going to check out magic. So magic, let's see here. What am I looking for? Oh, that's right. I'm looking for this one. And then come back down here. All right, there we go. So she's going to cast her spell. Now, when you cast magic, we'll go to the magic rules real quick because I want to be able to show that for the playthrough. If we're able to show magic, then we can... So Undead Servant is the spell that she's going to cast. Its range is touch. Duration is permanent. This accursed necromancy animates a humanoid corpse as a skeleton or zombie. As part of another action, you may issue spoken orders with the undead obeys. The monster acts at the same time as you in future turns. Animating the dead is fraught with peril and always triggers a dark and dangerous magic effect. On a great success, you may animate 2 corpses. All right, so she is going to do that. It's going to require a dark and dangerous magic, so she's going to have to roll a D100 for that. But to cast magic, let's see. It's always so fast. It's always so fast to find when I'm just like looking at the book myself. But of course, when I'm recording, I can never find it. Hold on, let me see. Magic. I'll just take you guys through the rules real quick. Let's see. Magic, page 91. And we'll see what she does. So, Ferrex the Dwarf. Spell casting, an action including clear speech and at least one free hand to gesticulate, line of sight and range is touch, intelligence, arcane lore check. And then whether casting or not, you would have to do a dark and dangerous magic. So normally, if this didn't automatically have dark and dangerous magic, she would roll a d8. And if she rolled the d8, if she got a 1, then she'd have to do the dark and dangerous magic. But raising the dead, the unseen servant, always has dark and dangerous magic, and it can be pretty bad. But she's only 19. She feels like she can control it. Her intelligence is 15. She has arcane lore, so she needs a 16 or less. She gets a great success on a 7 or less, terrible failure on a 20. So she reaches out and pulls the dark magic towards her with her spell book in her hand, and she just starts telling it to rise, rise, rise. And what did she get? She gets a 9. That's almost a great success. That is enough for the body that she has with her. It slowly begins to rise up, and the undead servant is reborn. And then we are going to do our dark and dangerous magic roll. So that's a D100 table. So we're going to roll the D100, and we'll see what price has to be paid for this unholy magic. 93 feels like that is not something good to roll. Gravity warp. Gravity reverses within close range of the target, causing those within to fall upward until the end of the next round. No save. So it's close range. So everything's fine. She looks excited from casting the spell. She smirks at the others as if to give them a nod that everything was going to be fine. And then she starts to float upwards towards the ceiling. Her and the undead corpse. And it lasts until the end of the next round. So they are floating up into the air of the ceiling. And there is fall damage here. So this could be bad. Luckily, they are in a cavern. So the roof is going to stop them. They're going to fall upwards. So let me see. What's the falling rules? Is there a distance? Falling is on page 70. Falling. Significant fall up to close range inflicts 3d6 damage and 1d12 blunt trauma roll. Falls greater than close range are educated by the referee. So close range would be within 30 feet. I don't feel like the ceiling is going to be 30 feet high. It's probably like 10 feet, 12 feet. So I think they're just going to fall and she's going to be able to say. So she's probably like up 10, 12 feet, the roof of the ceiling. I think it's very unlikely. So what I'll do is, even though I normally like to roll for the odds for that, I feel like it's very unlikely. So it's very unlikely that the ceiling is taller than 12 feet. Let's see. It has to be a yes/no question. Is the ceiling high enough to cause damage if she falls? So if I roll a 17 or higher, it is. The answer is yes. 8, it's not. All right. So she's going to float up to the ceiling for the next round. That's our hero's turns. And now the Skinless Terror is going to attack. Now, Skinless Terror on the monster stat block, it gets 2 attacks. It has bite, And if it rolls a natural 19, it explodes. So HD3 bite twice, and it does 1d8 damage. So it is going to try to bite Marika. So Marika has a armor class of 14. It is a 3-hit dice monster, so it gets +3. That is a hit. 16 plus 3 is 19. And it's going to do d8 damage to Marika. So it bites her. Oh, that's cocked. For 1 damage. And it gets a second attack. So it's blind. Its teeth sink into her arm. It launches back. It bites again. An 8, and the second attack misses. Now, does it want to do anything else? So monsters can also do exploits. So let's go to the exploit table, because it did hit her and do damage on its first attack. And it can try to do an exploit. And let's see. Exploits. Yeah, I should. I'll have to check one day and see if this game has a reference cheat sheet. Makes it a little bit easier to find some of the things. But it does have exploits in here. And I probably need to just look at the index. That'll be the easiest way to do it. So major and minor exploits. Let's see, would it be under exploits? Major resistance, magical items. Page 78. And what they do have is for the monsters, they kind of have a table. So for a minor exploit for a monster, it hits NPC exploits. You can roll a d6. A 1 is a grab, 2 is a push, 3 is prone, 4 is dazed, 5 is disarm, and 6 is blind. So it's going to try to do an exploit. Let's roll and see which one it tries to do. 4 is daze. And of course, that would be the condition that I don't know by heart. So let me look up conditions. Conditions are up page 82. Let's see what daze is. A dazed character's next action occurs last in initiative order. In addition, until their next action, they do not make a free attack when an opponent fumbles or withdraws. All right, so it's going to try to daze her. So it's kind of like stun in a sense. So maybe it tries to, and it's going to be an opposed check. So let's do an opposed strength check. I think when it bites into her, its fists and claws are also kind of punching and lashes out, and it tries to punch her in the head as it's flailing. Its strength is a 13, and her strength is a 13. So this will be for the creature trying to daze. 16 is a fail. It's opposed by Marika. 13, she gets just what she needs to pass. So she is able to absorb that additional blow without becoming dazed. Since the creature failed at a minor exploit, it can't do any more minor exploits for the rest of the combat. All right, and now it's time to roll initiative. So Garth went first last round. Marika, we're going to have her roll her initiative, because these two aren't going to fall down until the end of the round. So she has an 8. Oh, should I just have Ferox roll it? Let's have Ferox roll her initiative. Where is her? Where's Ferox? Where's your character sheet? Where to put her? Oh, there she is. Okay, so Ferox, your initiative is 14. Let's see if she can keep us in the fight. She does. All right, so the heroes are first. We are going to have Marika go first. So she's going to take that battle axe, and she's going to try to strike the Skinless Terror. Got 15 life. She has rerolls, and if she hits it, she needs to roll a 10 or higher. 14 is a hit. She gets +2, so that's a 16. And then she's going to do damage to it. She's going to do a D12 damage. 5 damage to it, so it's going to have 10 life left. But she is going to use her barbarian ability in rage. So when you're a barbarian, once per level, she's only level 1, she's going to use her class skill. So her class skill is ferocious rage, and when she uses that, she bellows out a wild yell. She can either gain a 2+2 bonus on a melee attack and damage. If she fails a strength check attempting a feat of power, she can reroll. Once per combat, when she suffers damage, she can reduce the damage by half. Once per target, after causing damage with a melee weapon, you may attempt a con check to also inflict a relevant trauma roll. That's what we're going to try to do. So she is going to... We're going to do the once per target after causing damage with a melee weapon, you may attempt a con check to also inflict a relevant trauma roll. So we're going to try to do that con check now. Her con is 17. We need to roll under. We do have a reroll. 12, that is a success, which means she can inflict a relevant trauma roll. So we'll go to the trauma table. So in this game, when you roll a 19, I haven't rolled a natural 19 during this playthrough. But if you do, that triggers special effects, trauma rolls, and the monsters also have special abilities that trigger on a 19. So for her great axe, she rolls on the blades trauma table. And let me find that. So we've got blade trauma, blast trauma, blunt trauma, missile trauma. If the ceiling was high, when Ferrex fell, she would have took a blunt trauma roll. But for blade trauma, weapons such as sword, knives, and axes, but also claws, roll 1d12 unless instructed otherwise. All right, so we're going to roll a d12, and then let me check her great axe. Does it have a... It does +1 damage, two-handed. Oh, that's Ferox. Marika. Yep, two-handed. All right, there we go. So we're going to roll a d12, and whatever she gets, that will affect the creature. So let's see. What do we get? An 11. Severed leg or foot. Roll 1d6. 1, 2, 3 is a foot. 4 to 5 is below the knee. 6 is the leg. Target move speed is halved. They require a crutch or a peg leg to walk. So 1 to 3 foot below the knee. So she swings the axe, yells out in a roar, and cuts the leg off of this skinless terror. All right. They require, okay, or peg leg, and suffer disadvantage on mobility related checks. Target's limb is severed unless they make a luck con save. On a success, the limb is badly lacerated and non-functional, but will heal with treatment and 8 weeks rest. So the monsters do have luck, so it can try to do a luck con save. So let's see if she just got the blade deep into the artery or if she actually severed it. All right, so its luck score is a 7. So it needs to roll a 7. Its con is 13. I think 13 bonus is a +1. So it needs to roll an 8 to save its leg. And then its luck might go down to 6. It does not. So its leg gets completely severed below the knee. That was her rage. So she could still do a minor exploit or even a major exploit. And I think with that slash through the leg, we might have her do a major exploit next, because that was part of her rage. She did damage to it. I did roll damage, right? Did I not roll damage? I feel like I didn't roll damage. It took 5 damage on the first hit. Was that the first time she hit it? No, I think it took 5 damage. I think it's got 10 life left. If I didn't roll, I'm going to roll just for pretend. I'll put in parentheses 3. So it either has 7 or 10 life because I don't remember what I did. All right. So let's check out major exploits. And if we can kill this thing with the major exploit, that will Be a good ending to our playthrough. Okay. So melee, major exploits. Right. So PCs may attempt a major exploit. It's impressive feats of power and skill that inspire the party and turn the tide of the battle. Major exploits are exclusive to player characters. An adventurer might shatter a foe's weapon, grab an enemy in each hand and crack their skulls together, cut off a wyvern's wing, or decapitate an ogre, subject to the hit dice rule below. In prior campaigns, some successful major exploits include spearing a T-Rex in one eye, causing it to suffer perception penalties and a 33% mischance, finishing off a fearsome witch hunter by trampling him with a horse and carriage, making wild swings with a cold iron flail to drive away the shades cluttered around a fallen ally. Major exploits may affect more than one target and can result in very serious and permanent effects, including death. Subject to the rules below, they are limited only by the player's imagination and the scenario at hand. Major exploits do not increase hit point damage to a single target, but might increase total damage by affecting multiple targets. Major exploits cannot instantly kill or incapacitate a single target unless the target's hit dice are equal to or less than the PC's level. So this thing has 3 hit dice. We are only level 1, so I can't technically kill it. A major exploit usually requires the PC to roll attack and damage, which I did. Declare the extended exploit. The GM decides whether the exploit is possible. Make a luck check. The GM decides what modifiers apply, if any. If the luck check succeeds, the exploit occurs, and the character's luck is reduced by 1. The GM makes a ruling to determine that effect. So I think what I want to do, just to show how it will work, let's do a major exploit. We cut off one leg. Let's say the swing through with the axe. I want to use a strength check and just cut both of these things' legs off so that it always has the prone penalty from now on. So it won't do any extra damage or anything like that. So we're going to do a luck check. So right now our luck is 11. I don't think I used luck in the last video. And when you do a luck check, you can add the modifier. So our strength modifier is +1. So we'd have to get a 12 or less. Now, if we fail the luck check, then we can't do any more major exploits this battle on this combat. 16 is a fail. So I was not able to cut off its leg. It managed to get all out of the way. Now I could try to use a reroll. I do have a reroll left. Let's do a reroll. Nope, it's not meant to be. So I chop off the one leg, pull the axe out, swing for the other one, but it shifts its body aside and we don't chop off the other leg. But we still have Goref, who's going to be able to attack. So we'll say that this creature is outnumbered and it's technically not flanked. So we'll just have him do a straight attack with his short sword. Goref is going to get a +1 to hit. I don't think it has 15 hit points. It has to be down to 7 or 6 to be considered wounded for him to use his other ability. So this will just be a straight roll. 9 is a hit. He's going to do D6 damage. 5 damage. So it's got 5 life left. And he's going to try to do a minor exploit to kick it off the edge. So he's going to do an opposed strength check. His strength is 13. 19. Nope, that is not going to do it. That's almost a terrible failure. Let's see what the creature is. 8. Yep, it succeeds. So he tries to kick it off, but in its wild, blinding fury, it continues to lash out. Meanwhile, Forax and the zombie cultists crash to the floor. They're prone. They don't take any major damage. They're able to brace themselves. They'll get up next round. And the skinless terror is going to try to bite. It's hobbling on one leg. Does it fall over? I think let's have it make a check. Let's see if it falls over. So Skinless Terrors, Dexterity. It's on one leg. It's got to have trouble balancing itself. Now, if we were going strictly by the dungeon rules, we probably would have rolled 2d6 of these creatures, which would be a lot more traumatizing if we rolled high. But we don't want to get caught in an endless battle, and then I just kind of want to show how the game plays a little bit. If I decide to come back to it one day and do a solo adventure, maybe with the rules for one character, because that'd be a little bit easier to manage. We might do that one day, but we'll see. There's a lot of games on the list that I want to try out. Okay. Where are we? We're looking for his stats to see if he falls over. We're going to have him make a dexterity check. His dexterity is 13. It falls over. So it falls over prone. It's still lashing out at us. In combat, when you're prone, you get a -2 to your attack. It needs a 14. And it misses. Then we're in the next round. 8 initiative for Marika. She's the only one that's left. 5, she passes the initiative text. She's going to raise that axe over her head and just bring it down on the head of this thing. 19. And that, my friend, is a natural 19. So we are going to get another blade trauma from the natural 19. She didn't have to use her ability. Let me find the blade trauma tables. We'll roll damage. 4 damage. That is going to be enough to kill it, I believe. And I think she gets, does she get plus damage from her sword? We'll see. But let me go back to the blade trauma table. Got 1 natural 19 in the playthrough. That's going to be a perfect way to wrap this bad boy up. Let me see. Blade trauma. If I can find the trauma tables. Dark and dangerous magic. Anti-gravity. But here we go. Blade trauma, blast, blunt trauma, missile trauma, toxin trauma. Okay. Blade. Let's roll the D12. What happened? 3. Impaled. The target is impaled, suffering automatic weapon damage at the start of their turn. Unimpaling requires a strength contest or a will check. So she sinks the axe into the back of this thing. It impales it, comes through the other side. At the start of its turn, it would have taken an additional 4 damage, which would have killed it. And that ends the fight. Our heroes, blood-soaked and battered, go down, retrieve the head of the pale mouth, make their way out of the dungeon with the new undead cultist servant, their silver necklace, and tales of their adventures against the cultists of Chun. All right, and that's going to conclude our little mini-series playthrough of Tales of Argosa. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I like it. I feel like it's a really kind of a hardcore, you want to have backup characters, fun games, but you see the natural 19s, the range bands. It's got a mix of old school and modern rules. The only thing that's a little bit tricky is when you attribute test versus combat, because you kind of get used to rolling low and then you have to kind of like change your mind and want to roll high, and think rolling high is good. So that's the only tricky part, but it's fun. The rules are simple. It's easy to grasp. The major and minor exploits add some additional flavor that you can add to the combat. And there's not a ton of rules where you have to kind of arbitrate everything. But that's going to complete our playthrough. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful in trying to learn a little bit more about this game. Again, we used Shadow Dark a little bit for some of the GM Oracle emulation, and we also used Scarlet Heroes for some of that as well. And that's going to conclude our playthrough. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching and have a great day.